In this video, we'll continue to work on the structure that's framed with heavy timber. We have a deck placed on top of the structure, but the deck has open joints. So if this is going to serve as some kind of cover, we need to put more within that roof assembly to keep the water out. So what we're going to do is add, instead of a steep roof, now remember, there are minimums for the slope to qualify something as a steep roof. Like a 3 to 12 technically is a steep roof. And with that slope of roof, you could put some kind of shingles. If you're going to go with something that's flatter, you would change materials for the roofing type. It's frequently more of a membrane that's placed on top of the roof. Sometimes if you have a low slope roof, you might have drains located, let's say, in the centers, and the roof would be pitched, not a lot, but perhaps 1/4 inch per foot into that, towards those center drains, which would then gather water and bring them, provide a path for them to get out to grade. In our case, we're going to do one of these low slope roofs, but instead of having center drains, we're going to run a gutter along this edge here. Okay, so we'll build up a roof at a very low pitch, and we will create a detail at the edge here so that the water can fall into a gutter and down about a downspout. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is go up to my level 2 plan. Let's see here. It's called it's subfloor level 2, but we'll make those adjustments soon. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm just putting the roof over this portion of the structure. I'm going to go to roof, and there's a few that we had already been working with. For this one, I'm going to start with a 9-inch generic. Let's see what other ones we have as options. Yeah, we can try this generic one, and I'm going to edit the type, and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it low slope roof. And I'm going to start to modify the structure. The only material I'm going to put in here is going to be a layer of plywood that will serve as the base for our roof here. Okay, and I'm going to give this a thickness of 0.75 inches, so it'll be 3/4 inch plywood. Now we'll be adding other components to this, but we'll handle this at the detail level. So I'm going to click on OK. And apply and OK. Right, now I'm ready to create the boundary line, and I'm going to click on a rectangle, and I'm going to snap to the outer corners of my posts. Okay, now as we did with the other shed roof, we want to establish some settings for the pitch. It's going to be at its high point along this edge, and it's going to slope down to this edge here. So this one here is the one that's controlling the slope proportions. It's a 9 to 12 right now, and I'm going to make this, again, this is a low slope roof, so only 1/4 inch per foot. Apply, and then I'll go around and I'll remove the check mark so that I have basically a single slope roof. Okay, now we'll make another change to this, but before we do that, I want to look at it in section. One other thing that I'd like to do, we have a section cutting through here, and we have sections that are cutting through these two as well. And if you recall, when we did these sections, they're looking west, but my wall section is this part of the wall right here. So I try to be consistent with which side the exterior side of the wall section is. So just to to illustrate this a little bit more. When I go to the wall section here, the exterior side is on the left. The majority of the notes are on the left. When I go to wall section structure 3, again, the majority of the notes are on this exterior side, which is on the left. So when I go to, let's go back to level 2. I want to make my wall section here because this is where I have the roof structure. But if I was to do this, keep the section looking west like this, it's going to put the exterior side on the right. So to be consistent, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to flip it by clicking on these 2 little arrows. So now this one is going to look east. So just so I don't forget about this, I'm going to go to the section through structure 4 looking west, and I'm going to rename it looking east. Okay. And let's go ahead and look at the transverse section here. So what I can see now is in this section, in this sheet, the roof is pitching towards the north, which is what I want it to do. And I'm looking towards the east. And I can go to the section itself and I can see this. All right, now, this is a very slow or low pitch roof, 1/4 inch per foot. This would be common for any kind of what we would consider flat roofs. It needs to have enough pitch that water doesn't pool on top of the roof. But one thing I want to change is the relationship of this plywood to this deck material here. The deck is going to be exposed from the bottom. The plywood will sit on top, and that's what's kind of establishing a surface for us to put a membrane in there. But I need something to prop up this, this plywood. And so what they would normally do is cut pieces of wood in this long direction with a taper of 1/4 inch per foot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on the roof here, and I'm going to offset it from the base 1.5 inches and apply that. Okay, so now these tapered wood pieces are starting at 1.5 and then pitching upward from there. So when I come over here to the far side and I measure this, 6 and change and 37/64. So probably with 2x8s, I could, create this pitch by cutting the piece of wood in a tapered configuration. Now I can begin adding some more detail to the wall section. What I'm going to do is pull these datums out a little ways. Right. And I may need to bring them out a little bit more. I have these piers that go below ground to level 0. And next, what I want to do is prepare a new wall section. So I'm going to go to view and call out, and I want to get that full pier and a little bit of space on the left here so I can add my notes. And I'm going to come up to the top here, click on the bubble, the call out tag there, and bring it up so they're consistently located. And what I should see is there are now 2 with a similar title. I'm going to call this wall section 4. And here is where I will begin to add more detail.